What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:06 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East and from all over the world. So what you're looking at here is a picture coming out of Diego Garcia. This was 2 days ago on April Fool's Day, and you can see 6 U.S. stealth bombers sitting on the tarmac. Now, what a lot of people don't realize about this picture is that there's 4 shelters here that have stealth bombers in them already. So we now have 10 stealth bombers in Diego Garcia. Okay, so they moved 3 more stealth bombers earlier this week to Diego Garcia. So that's within striking range of Iran. And also Iran issued an airspace closure for the Tehran flight information region starting tomorrow, April the 4th, all the way through May 21st. And what's concerning about this is they did the same type of airspace closure over the Tehran flight information region last fall when they were getting ready to launch their second big missile attack on Israel, Operation True Promise 2. Okay, so this is the same exact closure for the same exact period of time. So this means that Iran is about to be attacked by the U.S. and Israel, and they need to close their airspace over Tehran in the event that they need to use air defenses, or if they want to launch missiles at U.S. bases, U.S. oil fields, international oil fields, shipping lanes, etc. Okay, so this is extremely serious, guys. And then here's the airspace closure from the fall, okay, September 7th through November 20th of last year. Same exact type of closure. So this is very, very serious, guys. Iran has already put their missiles on full alert in their underground bases, okay? So they're ready to launch at a moment's notice. And we know that the U.S. stock market crashed today, suffering the worst one-day drop since the 2020 COVID crash. You can see the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped almost 1,700 points, or nearly 4%. The S&P 500 dropped nearly 5%, and the Nasdaq dropped nearly 6%, and the Russell 2K dropped nearly 6.75%. So these are massive drops, guys, okay? And NATO intelligence is indicating that Russia continues to produce a significant number of missiles and that they are stockpiling them for new massive strikes on Ukraine or possibly other countries in Europe, despite a lull in missile attacks recently. And EU countries now supply over 50% of Ukraine's ammunition needs, according to the EU President Kaja Kallas. And the Chinese military aircraft intercepted a U.S. military aircraft operating in international airspace off the southwestern coast of Taiwan. And a Danish F-35 fighter jet was scrambled for the first time to intercept a Russian Ilyushin-20 reconnaissance plane over the Baltic Sea. So tensions are escalating, and I want to mention to you guys that U.S. nuclear forces have been transmitting nuclear codes today. We had 3 very long emergency action messages very early this morning at 6 a.m. There were 320 character messages back to back, which is very, very rare. And then earlier this afternoon, we had several tactical emergency action messages, okay, which are emergency action messages directed to specific units, tactical units of some kind, either bombers or aerial refuelers or strategic mobility aircraft. Okay, so something could go down as soon as this weekend. And an emergency action message is basically a nuclear attack option or targeting information for our nuclear forces. They constantly transmit them to update our nuclear forces with targeting information, especially when things are about to go down. So an uptick in nuclear attack options transmitting today by Strategic Command, an indication that potentially tonight or this weekend a strike on Iran could happen. And we know that all these C-17 Globemasters have been moving to the Middle East with U.S. military equipment. Probably over 100 C-17 military transport planes from the U.S. have gone to Qatar and other areas in the Middle East just in the last week. And I haven't seen a whole lot of C-17 flights today or last night, which tells me that they've basically moved everything that they wanted to move, and now it's just a matter of setting everything up. They had to move a bunch of air defenses because when Iran retaliates, we're going to have to shoot down their missiles and drones. Okay, so they moved air defenses and probably a whole bunch of other things. Aerial refuelers as well. I counted over 25 aerial refuelers have been moved to the Middle East, but a lot of that movement has now stopped, which tells me that everything they wanted to move has already been moved. So we're getting very close to the actual time of this operation, which is going to be historic. Remember what I reported earlier this week? An Israeli official said that this strike on Iran is going to be unlike anything we've seen since World War II, and it's going to happen very, very soon. Okay, so get prepared, guys. And now we have 10 stealth bombers in Diego Garcia, which is 50% of all of our stealth bombers, guys. That is very, very serious. And the Houthis are claiming that they shot down another MQ-9 Reaper drone today, according to sources that told this to Fox News. Apparently, the third MQ-9 Reaper drone was shot down by the Houthis in the last month today, and it's the second MQ-9 drone shot down over Yemen since the U.S. began its daily airstrikes on the Houthis on March the 15th. The U.S. military has already carried out 20 straight days of bombing, and yet the Houthis continue to fire missiles. So very, very interesting. And Elon Musk is reportedly going to be stepping down from his current role soon. This is being reported by Politico. And the Chinese Minister of Defense said yesterday that China will intervene militarily on the side of Russia anytime and anywhere if NATO officially enters the war against the Russian Federation. Okay, so we know that France and the UK have already started to move troops into Ukraine to defend strategic locations. They're not going to be on the front lines except as advisors, but they have deployed forces in strategic areas, okay, infrastructure areas, strategic cities, okay. So basically that's a NATO troop deployment in Ukraine, which is one of Russia's major red lines. And what you're looking at here are some Israeli military battlefield command and control planes. There were 3 of them up in the air last night, and that's very concerning because typically Israel only has 1 of these planes up in the air when they're doing really intense operations in Gaza or Lebanon or other areas. For example, in the peak of the invasion in Gaza, they only had 1 of these planes airborne at any given time. So for them to have 3 up in the air last night is very rare and very concerning, and it could mean that this strike on Iran is imminent as soon as tonight. And I will be going live tonight around 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern Time to provide live coverage of what's going on here in the Middle East and around the world. So here you can see two of these command and control planes taking off at the same time, and then here's the third one. So very, very concerning. And Hungary will withdraw from the International Criminal Court, and the Israeli Defense Minister said IDF forces will continue to maintain positions and operate on Mount Hermon and in security and buffer zones to protect the communities of the Golan Heights and the Galilee from any threat. So they're going to stay in northern Israel near Syria. And yesterday, 59 Chinese warplanes and 23 Chinese warships were detected around Taiwan, and 31 sorties by the Chinese Air Force were carried out, including crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait. Okay, so China is still doing their so-called exercises around Taiwan, which is basically a soft blockade. We're now on the 4th day of this soft blockade. Okay, they're training for a real blockade, but while they're training, they're actually blockading Taiwan. Okay, and they've done live fire training already with long-range rockets and missiles. And Japan said that the U.S. tariffs violate WTO rules and the Japan-U.S. treaty. And the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said chaos will reign worldwide due to the new tariffs. We will hold a strategic dialogue with the steel, automotive, and healthcare sectors. We are always ready to negotiate with America, and we are disappointed with our old ally. We are ready to respond and are preparing additional packages of measures to protect our interests. All companies will suffer from tariffs. Tariffs will have dire consequences for millions of people around the world. The European Union is considering imposing counter tariffs on U.S. tech companies. Okay, so this is very, very serious, guys. And in response to the U.S. tariffs on Canada, Canada is now going to be imposing a 25% tariff on cars imported from the U.S., and Volkswagen will introduce an import fee on any tariff-hit cars, according to the Wall Street Journal. And Reuters is reporting that Volkswagen will raise prices in response to the tariffs. Okay, so very serious situation. And last night we had these U.S. Customs and Border Protection balloons that were flying over Key West and Puerto Rico, and these are reconnaissance balloons, so very interesting. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight in the live stream around 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And make sure you guys are just getting ready, because all hell is about to break loose. After Trump strikes Iran, I think that we're going to see possibly China make a move on Taiwan, and Russia may invade the Baltics. Russia is currently drafting 160,000 citizens into their army through July. So that sounds like a preparation for something, whether it's another push into Ukraine to take more land or a push into the Baltics. But the ceasefire deal has collapsed. The peace deal has collapsed. There will not be any peace. There will not be any ceasefire for at least several months. Putin has the momentum in his favor. He's not going to sign any peace deal now, and he's going to try to take more land in Ukraine or possibly go after the Baltics. Guys, download my app for free in the Google Play Store, and we're currently in the process of releasing an app for Apple. We have about 100 people testing the app now, so that's going to be available very soon. But the app lets me send out notifications to you guys when things are breaking and when I go live and when I post updates, so you never miss updates. Okay, every time I post these videos, I always send out a notification on the app, so this way you never miss an update. And also, we had some very serious tornadoes last night in Tennessee and other places, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and several people have been killed. So guys, make sure you have a tornado plan if you live in tornado-prone areas. and keep alert with your weather forecast. Okay, I sent out some red alerts late last night to people who live in Tennessee to let everybody know over there that you have tornadoes coming, and I'll continue to do that. And consider joining my Patreon. It's just $3 a month. You can watch all these videos with no ads in the video. Okay, so no YouTube ads. You can watch every video with 0 ads, and I always post my videos there first before I post them here, so you get priority access. Okay, because I have to wait for YouTube to do their checks on my videos, which sometimes can take up to an hour. But with Patreon, I can just post it right away, so you'll get the news before everybody else if you go to Patreon, and that's patreon.com/NYPrepper. So I'll see you guys later on tonight in the live stream, and you can always tune into my 24/7 live stream to listen to these emergency action messages, to listen to our nuclear forces. We have a lot of great moderators that update the news in the chat, so you can get news throughout the day in the chat, and you can follow some live cams, and you can listen to our nuclear forces. So until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.